This week on Fargo, VM Varga is the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, Cy needs a hug, and Yuri reads a children's book. But before I get into Fargo Episode 7, The Law of Inevitability, be sure to subscribe because we have a whole lot more than just Fargo on this channel. I'm talking about American Gods, Twin Peaks, Game of Thrones, and a whole lot of comic books, movies, and more. Now let's talk Fargo. Episode 7 opens up with what looks to be your normal festive holiday scene. The Stussy house is lit up with Christmas lights on a cold, snowy night as the first Noel plays. But reality quickly sets in. VM Varga is sitting in front of the Christmas tree, cutting open the Stussy family presents with a switchblade. That would be considered pretty evil under normal circumstances, but here, the unforgivable act is the literal tearing apart of the Stussy family by Varga throughout the season. We fittingly cut to Gloria and Winnie arriving at the murder scene in Ray's apartment, and then to Nikki, who is still recovering in her motel room. I found it extremely fitting that she was watching a nature doc specifically on female millipedes who aren't predators by nature, but will use their highly toxic cyanide to defend themselves from would-be attackers. Should Varga and his men exercise a bit more caution with Nikki? We'll have to wait and see. The cops arrive at Nikki's motel room and grab her just before she can escape out the bathroom window, a la Jerry Lundegaard at the end of the movie.
No, wait! No!
Speaking of the law enforcement that we've become accustomed to in Fargo, why aren't there more officers like Gloria? Of course, there were the Solversons in season 1 and 2 and Marge Gunderson in the film, but the majority of law enforcement that we see basically aren't good cops. They don't exhaust all resources to find the truth, to solve the mystery. Instead, they look for the easy explanations to Fargo's mysteries. Chief Mo Damick is no exception.
Simple things. Cause and effect, crime and punishment. Mashed potato, you know what you get? Mashed potatoes.
Mo believes in a truth that is exactly what Varga had fabricated. Why? Well, because it was easy to come to that conclusion, and it's exhausting to look at all the other evidence to the contrary. He doesn't want to waste his energy on Gloria's wide-eyed theory.
Only an intellectual could believe something so stupid.
Well, sirs, as you'll see if you try working the angles, the alternatives make even less sense.
Sounds like Mo has been reading some George Orwell recently. Even when the security cameras get cut off and a mysterious wannabe police officer tries to pump Nikki with the syringe, Mo believes it's just a glitch. You know, like the ones you get when your satellite TV isn't cooperating with you at home. It's maddening to see the laziness and incompetence of people in roles with such great power. And that brings us to good old Deputy Donnie Mashman, who gets interrupted from his Tinder-swiping Christmas Eve with a phone call. It's clearly a call from Varga's men to get him out of the station in order to grab the file on Ennis Stussy's murder. But seriously, what kind of an officer leaves his gun and cell phone on the table before locking up the building? Not a good one. Donnie returns to retrieve his gun and finds Yuri hanging out in the station's library reading a children's book. At closer inspection, he's reading Dexter Bexley and the Big Blue Beastie on the Road. Anyone out there read this one? Anyways, the conversation echoes themes we've heard all season about truth, and Yuri demonstrates just how easy it is to convince those upholding the law to turn a blind eye to the truth.
You're gonna have to leave.
I just did.
What?
You asked and I left. I'm not here.
This entire exchange is eerily similar to Gus Grimley's traffic stop of Lorne Malvo in season 1, and it exposes a flaw in our system of law and order when some people just don't want to follow the rules. Varga and his men are willing to break all the rules, no matter if it's the IRS or the police involved. Back at the restaurant, as if we didn't already know, we learn that Emmett and Cy are no good at being criminals. And why should they be? They were businessmen who found financial success and enjoyed their Minnesota nice lives. By the way, did anyone else notice the bear on the wall during this sequence? That's at least 2 references to bears that we've seen in season 3. So Winnie interrupts the dinner meeting to tell Emmett of his brother's passing, but more importantly, to gauge Emmett's reaction. And Emmett is entirely too anxious to explain his alibi and then to blame Nikki for his brother's murder. A guilty conscience and a little bit of alcohol will do that to you. On top of all this, the two leave Ruby alone at the restaurant for Winnie to have a conversation with. Not smart. Clearly, this is unfamiliar territory for Emmett and Cy. Visually, one of my favorite moments from this episode is back at Emmett's house, on the staircase of that huge, empty mansion.
How do you feel?
Free.
Emmett is joined by Varga, who shares a popular English nursery rhyme with him, one that his mother used to tell him when he had nightmares. It's titled "There Was a Crooked Man," and it's Varga's way of comforting Ray. The rhyme was fitting for a show that year in and year out introduces the audience to extremely crooked people and uncanny circumstances, those who clash with a few good people in their way. In a slightly humorous scene that quickly becomes unsettling, Cy is welcomed home by his wife, who offers some pudding. But Cy is too concerned about the world that's crumbling around him.
It looks like my world, but everything's different.
Life comes at you fast, huh, Cy? It wasn't long ago that Cy's biggest concern was where to park his oversized yellow Hummer. Now I can't help but think that his and Emmett's days are numbered. And speaking of numbered days, the conclusion of episode 7 painted a grim outcome for Nikki. While in custody, she managed to survive an attempted murder by some hired help thanks to Gloria, and pays her back with some advice on the connection to all the murders.
Follow the money. That's all I'll say.
But we all knew that Varga wasn't going to give up that easily. He needs to take care of his Nikki problem and not let Gloria get any more info out of her or enjoy that coconut cream pie. So it really didn't come to a surprise that they went after the police transport. But what was surprising was a cameo from a season 1 character. If the theme music and face weren't immediately familiar to you, that's Wes Wrench, aka Mr. Wrench. We last saw him when Lauren Malvo decided not to kill him some 4 years ago. But what I want to know is, what's he been up to the last 4 years? Is he in police custody from those events, or something completely different? And will he play a role in Nikki's fate next episode, or was it just a fun Easter egg? The episode ends with quite an exclamation point. The vehicle is ran off the road by Yuri and seemingly leaves few survivors, if any. And just in case a certain someone survived that crash, the wolf hat wearing Yuri is last seen with a buzzsaw cutting through that metal door. So unlike those female millipedes, Nikki is completely defenseless, and her chances of survival, slim to none. Guys, there are only 3 episodes left in Fargo Season 3. You know what that means? You need to hit subscribe over here, and you need to hit me up in the comments and on Twitter at RyanEricP, and let me know how you think this season's gonna end. I'm gonna feature my favorite theory in next week's video. Thanks for watching.